When you hear BMW, you probably think luxury performance, right? The ultimate driving machine. But the real story behind that famous blue and white logo, well, it's way more than just fast cars. It's an incredible story of survival, of staring death in the face not once, not twice, but 3 separate times.
So let's get right into it, because this is the central question. How on earth did a brand that's now a titan of the auto world manage to cheat death so many times, especially when cars weren't even part of their original game plan? To get our answer, we have to go way back, over a century ago, actually. Not to a road, but to the skies over Germany during World War I. That is where BMW was really born.
And you know what? They hit the ground running, or I guess they hit the air running. Almost immediately, they weren't just making engines, they were making world-class, record-shattering engines. By 1918, a plane with their BMW IA engine just soared to a world altitude record. So right from the jump, high performance was literally in their DNA.
You can even see this origin story in their famous logo. It's not just some cool design, it's meant to be a spinning white propeller slicing through a blue sky. And hey, bonus points, those colors, blue and white, are also the colors of their home state, Bavaria. Pretty clever, right?
So, BMW is this high-flying success story, king of the skies. But what happens when the war that made you ends, and the world just changes overnight? Well, for BMW, it meant staring down the barrel of its very first existential crisis.
The Treaty of Versailles comes along and effectively makes their only product illegal. Just stop and think about that for a second. Your entire business, the one thing you are the best in the world at, is banned overnight. I mean, this should have been the end of the story for BMW. Lights out. But it wasn't. Instead of just giving up, they pivoted. Hard. First, they started building motorcycle engines. Then they just built the whole motorcycle. Their R32 became this huge hit, building them a brand new reputation for speed and reliability, but this time on the ground. To make some extra cash, they even started building little Austin cars under license. It was a total scramble for survival, and it actually worked. So they survived their first brush with death. But BMW wasn't happy just existing. They started to build something else, something that would define them and set them completely apart from everybody else, especially their biggest rival. And this led to this fundamental split in philosophy. You see, while their rival Mercedes-Benz was building these big, plush, luxurious cars designed for the comfort of the passengers, BMW went in the complete opposite direction. They focused everything on the experience behind the wheel. They were building a car for the driver. This one idea, this would shape everything they did for the next 100 years. But just as they're finding their groove, the world goes to war again. And in the rubble of World War II, BMW found itself completely wiped out, facing its second and maybe its most desperate fight for its life. I mean, the situation was just awful. Their factories were destroyed, their equipment was seized and shipped off, the company was hemorrhaging cash. And then they made this huge, disastrous bet on building massive, expensive luxury sedans for a country that was completely broke. That bet failed big time, and the company's debts just went through the roof. With the company literally on the brink of disappearing, salvation came from the weirdest, most unlikely place imaginable. It wasn't some powerful new sedan or a sleek sports car. It was this, the Isetta, a tiny 3-wheeled bubble car that, let's be honest here, was more of a motorcycle with a shell on it. So while those big, fancy luxury cars were collecting dust in showrooms, the super affordable Isetta was a massive runaway hit. In a Germany that was still rebuilding, this quirky little car, with its bizarre front-opening door, single-handedly generated enough cash to keep the entire company afloat. So the Isetta bought them time, but it wasn't a real long-term plan. By the late 1950s, the company was, yet again, about to go under. And this led to the single most dramatic moment in its history, and its final, defining rebirth. This was it, the ultimate threat. A major bank, one of their biggest shareholders, basically said, "We're done," and proposed that their arch-rival, Daimler-Benz, just buy them up. The BMW name, the brand, that whole driver's car idea, it was all about to be swallowed up and just vanish forever. But then, something amazing happened. At the big shareholder meeting where this deal was supposed to get rubber-stamped, the small-time shareholders and the loyal dealerships, they staged a revolt. This wasn't just about spreadsheets and numbers. For them, it was about identity.
They flat out refused the takeover, and then they did something unbelievable. They pooled their own money to fund one last, desperate roll of the dice on a brand new car for Germany's growing middle class. And that gamble, it was called the BMW 1500. When they unveiled it at the 1961 Frankfurt Motor Show, they were probably just hoping, praying for a couple of orders. What they got was 20,000. 20,000 pre-orders. The public hadn't just spoken, they had shouted. The BMW 1500 did way more than just save the company's balance sheet. It basically invented the modern sports sedan. It solidified their identity, once and for all, as the creators of the ultimate driving machine. This one car didn't just save them, it defined them. And you know what? From that moment on, BMW never looked back. That third rebirth was the real deal. And the company's story shifted from one of just trying to survive to one of pure ambition. It was finally time to build a global empire. They started expanding, making really smart moves like acquiring iconic brands. They picked up Mini to get into the premium small car game. And then, in this absolutely brilliant business maneuver in 1998, they snatched up Rolls-Royce, the absolute pinnacle of luxury, right from under their competitor's nose. The results, well, they speak for themselves. In 2021 alone, the company pulled in over $130 billion in revenue. That led to an insane gross profit of $26 billion. I mean, think about it. From the brink of being sold for scrap, they've become one of the most powerful and consistently profitable car companies on the entire planet. And check this out. This is an incredible stat that really puts it all into perspective. For 3 decades straight, through recessions, oil crises, massive global competition, only 2 car companies in the world managed to grow their profits every single year: Toyota and BMW. That's not just luck, that's resilience baked deep into the company's soul. And that brings us to today. BMW's entire history is this wild story of radical reinvention, from planes to motorcycles to bubble cars to sports sedans. They are masters of the rebirth. So the big question now is, as the entire world starts to pivot away from the very combustion engine that made them famous, what will their next great evolution look like?